Secondly, I was disappointed with the city attorney. I did send the city attorney a note. I asked him to define the idea of the gag rule, and I even cited a discussion from John F. Kennedy's Profiles in Courage about John Quincy Adams, who made a big point when he was in Congress after being president of actually being censured for simply saying, I want to speak what I want to say about slavery, when everybody in the House of Representatives passed rules that you could not talk about it. There's a fair issue here. I would like to have seen the city attorney come out here and discuss it and sample his knowledge of John Quincy Adams. It's there in Profiles in Courage. I read it when I was 15 years old and was very impressed by it.
The city
It won the Pulitzer.
The city attorney quoted chapter and verse of the city charter of the city of Los Angeles.
And that's what we have to follow.
Regarding neighborhood councils specifically, or the
Yes.
city council, or
Any
what?
committee. Committees as they are defined within the city charter.
A second point, which is certainly worthy of argument, which would be to go back to Professor Sonnenschein, which is that we were set up to be more town meetings. Town meetings come with a different set of rules. I mean, look at the Norman Rockwell picture, where everybody in the audience is participating, even the scruffy-looking guy who works at the service station. So I would like to have seen a more intellectual discussion with them. Granted, there are 3 city attorneys, but as when I went to law school, the idea that citations, propositions, and authorities, I don't see them very much here.
Fair enough. As you know, I like hearing from everyone, so I didn't adhere to the city attorney's recommendations, but the chairs of the committees can use this tool to expedite their meetings. Like Howard said, the way they interpreted it was only the people on the committee can speak. Other council members can't, but all other stakeholders can. So it's a little bit of a weird thing. I wanted more of an opinion on this, and they're on our agenda to come and train us tonight, but I don't see them here. So with that, I would like to continue. Yes. Carino and Maria. Yes, ma'am.
You want to go?
Okay. I abstain.
One of the things is the PRAs that are sort of put on some of us on the board. Has there any been clarification as what is, what we do as far as legal counsel in getting that?
Our council is very lucky in the fact that we probably have more PRAs come through here than any other of the 96 neighborhood councils in the city of Los Angeles. The way that I've always handled it is the minute you get one, you loop in the city attorney's office, and you have to respond within 10 days. We currently have a pending one from Maddie, but with her being a council person, it is supposed to be handled differently. Howard and I brought this up to the city attorneys a couple weeks ago, and they said they would expeditiously get us language, which I checked the email 20 minutes ago, still has not come through. So if it is a PRA from somebody on this council, it's handled differently, but if it is one from the general public, and you happen to get one, please loop me in as soon as possible so we can answer it. We are liable to do so. You have to answer them within 10 days, but you can also send an answer saying that we are working on it, and then you have 30 days to comply. The PRA, Mr. Luna, your question, is the California Public Records Act. You know how people in government love to speak in acronyms, so PRA. But we have, I've discussed it with other council presidents. We had a meeting with Congressman Cardenas a couple weeks ago, and some of the council presidents have never had one. So as nice as it would be for us to give them one, I would just say we don't. But if you do get a PRA, loop me in and the city attorney as soon as possible, and we will answer it. but there are some that come through asking for records that do not exist. We do not have to create records that do not exist. And there is legal language that the city attorney will give us. Do you have a pending one, Q?
I have a lot.
You have a before you, or that you're going to shoot out?
Oh, me?
Yes.
I don't know. I mean,
Have you gotten one emailed to you asking for like plum documents? Minus Maddie.
oh, no, just,
Okay.
just her.
So the Maddie situation is being handled by the city attorney's office. If there is one that comes from the general public, please loop me in as soon as possible. With that, let's jump into the rest of the agenda.
Sure.
Yes. Well, I guess we're not. Well, look, if we're not getting out of here before 9, that's fine. But I tried. No, I'm not mad. I'm not. I enjoy a nice long meeting. I go home and watch C-SPAN. Yes. Donna, I have your public comment card right here. I cannot wait to call on you. Maria.
I do understand that you'll say that the members cannot speak, but if I wasn't able to speak, you have something on the agenda that when you said about the Johns.
This is just during committee meetings, not during normal council meetings.
No, that's what I'm talking about, because that was the meeting that I was at, when y'all said I couldn't speak.
I let you speak, though.
No, Howard said I couldn't because of the attorney, but you did allow me
Right.
to. But I'm glad you did, because remember you was saying,
Yeah.
we're gonna put on the agenda that John's, their part in.
Right.
And as an employee, I told you you need to reverse that, because if it's my car and I'm letting my husband use my car, then that means you can't impound my car, because you was only wording it as the John's car. So remember I told you we had to word it as the car,
As long as
that's
it drives it,
you.
We,
commission of a crime, it's impounded.
you have
I
to
agree.
understand that a committee only creates an agenda, whether it's the executive committee, Parks and Rec, outreach, whatever, they create an agenda that will be addressed by the entire board. At that point in time, you could have said, we have to amend the language to state such and such. So it's not that you're not being given the opportunity to add to the language. It's just not during that meeting.
Yeah, but that's, it's okay, thank you.
Maria, your expertise in the DMV world is greatly appreciated, especially with what we're trying to do here. So I appreciate for you speaking up, and we're still waiting to hear back from the city attorney's office on this, because it is a weird thing that council people wouldn't be allowed to speak at committee meetings. It's a little strange. It is. It's crazy. So without further ado, 8.0, the VNNC would like to officially go on record with a community impact statement stating that if a vehicle is used by the John in the act of engaging in prostitution, that the car is considered part of the crime and can be impounded. Now, is that,
The one that y'all had to change.
yes, so what language, how would you like to amend the language?
No, you did correct it.
Okay, so we like the language.
The John's car.
Yes.
And then that's when I told you, it's just the John's car. So if the
He uses
John
the
name
car, doesn't make any
is
difference.
Joe Blow, but the car is registered to me, then you can't impound my car. So you did do it correctly
true.
by
Good.
changing it for me.
Do we have any other discussion on 8.0?
Question,
Yes.
it says can be impounded. Now that's very,
It's kind of ubiquitous. It's
Vague,
broad, it's vague.
it's very,
That's,
it either will be, should be, or won't be.
Well, that's why we're
That's
having,
why we have the discussion now, yes.
so we like to change the word can to should or would?
Should is the same as
Means
can.
nothing. You're saying that it should be, like I should lose weight.
but I may not.
So should, no, if you wanted to stick.
Will.
They
Will be.
Will be
Right.
impounded,
Ooh, that's stronger. We're giving it some teeth here.
will, give us some teeth.
All right, so the amendment to the language, yes.
I have a couple of issues. Can I speak on this?
Of course you can. No, you were, council member, it is your right, absolutely. Mr. Lin.
If you want to give it teeth on the end, the word you want is must.
Must.
That's the word.
Instead of will, we go with must?
No. Well, shall is the correct grammatical way to say it.
Anyway, My second point is as far as Ms. Shelton's point, because I know that this has been before the courts before, it says is used by the John, and this brings up the issue of what happens when the John uses somebody else's car and it gets impounded.
maybe
I
they
think
shouldn't
that was
let 'em
before
do
the
it.
Supreme Court. In any event, and I think it was upheld, unfortunately. But I think your point, am I right, Maria, is that you want to make sure that the John is the one that owns the car, correct?
Yes, well, because at first, it was, example, the John name is Joe Blow. But the car, Joe Blow used my car to do an act.
Yeah, right.
But if the car is registered to me, the
Right.
wording first said, his car or hers, the John's car will be impounded. See,
But
the
owned
John
by
How about used and owned? Used and owned.
used my car.
But do we
You
do?
use my car, you cannot impound my car.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Said the John's car.
So,
used and owned. Better.
No, that's what it said before.
how about this language? How
Mr.
how
President?
about this language?
That's better.
Used and owned by the John.
Yeah.
So the impounding would only take place if it was the John's car.
How about any car used and
Yeah, but
Yeah, because.
Mr. Lynn is an attorney, and he said that it didn't fly through the Supreme Court.
any car means anyone, whether.
You know what? We are
They-
strictly advisory on this
We're allowed
issue.
the
This
wife's
still
car
has
to
to
be
go
impounded.
before the city attorney.
Forfeited, as a matter of fact,
Did. Oh,
It is.
well then,
which is pretty.
Do I get a chance?
yeah, but then it's a moot point,
All right, but yeah.
if it's already a statute.
used and owned.
Any car.
Yeah, used and owned. Mr. Luna.
The reason I support the reason I support the soft language is so that the police officers and the prosecutors have the discretion, because a lot of times these Johns are married men. And these married men have one car to the family.
Oh, that's
So if the car is impounded,
Breaking the
how does mom take the kids to school? How does mom get to work herself? It needs to be done on a case-by-case basis. If we do a zero-tolerance policy, there's going to be a lot of innocent people affected in a circumstance where they're already dealing with infidelity, disease, expensive legal proceedings.
That's the idea.
It's not like if a John gets caught, it's not like it's a slap on the wrist. In LA, there's a ton of stuff that already goes with that.
Valid.
They now have the option to make it a little bit of a harder slap. They also have the option to maybe spare the wife a little bit more grief by letting her keep the car, letting her keep her one mode of transportation.
Jeanette.
So it's discretion of, it's at
Okay.
the discretion of what, the police officer, the arresting officer?
That's what he's trying to say. I have a fundamental problem with that. I mean, as a mom and wanting to have my transportation and way to take my kids to school would be important. But on the other hand, what was that Madison, whatever it is, website? And look what trouble they're in. Bottom line, they're committing a crime, and they know they're committing a crime. And as far as I'm concerned, the book should be thrown at them because they should have been doing that in the first place and forgetting their marriage vows if they were married and not giving a hell of a hoot about their kids either because they were going to find out about it. They deserve to be punished to the full extent of the law, and if it means taking the car to teach them a lesson, I think it's great.
I agree with you, but mandatory minimums, which is what we're talking about, is a reason that high school kids go to prison for weed. This
All right, so
makes
look,
mandatory minimums.
Currently,
How
it's
about-
illegal, and I hope it stays that way, but that's
How
not the
about-
issue we're talking about.
How about
Stay
this
on topic.
language? How about this language? The VNNC would like to officially go on record with a community impact statement stating that if a vehicle is used and owned by the John in the act of engaging in prostitution, that the car is considered part of the crime and shall possibly be impounded.
And the only problem with that is they're going to borrow somebody else's car and it's never going to get taken. Don't give them a loophole like that.
You can.
You can't.
Well,
do
let's
that.
iron out the language and vote on it and move on.
No, you can't.
You can't. No, it's.
Yeah, they have to. Oh, they did.
Yes, Rosemary.
All right, well, if you had possibly, it's still.
No, you can't put.
Yeah.
I think there's a real problem that we see somewhat what you're saying, and I'm against mandatory minimums anyway, but, you don't want it to be so arbitrary that based upon someone's personal prejudice and officers, that this person's car would be impounded, but not that
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's got to apply.
Across the board.
Across the board.
So give me the language.
Exactly.
But also, most people that are married, if you own one car, two cars, both people's names are involved
Will be,
Not in my case.
So
I have 2 cards.
What, well, we all disagree with the current language. Let's come up with new language.
will be impounded,
Will be impounded.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's entirely possible that we
If it's
pass
the
this and they
law,
won't do a
they know.
single thing about it, so.
Absolutely. Otherwise, you give them.
Okay, so what is the language?
funding is only temporary anyway.
Yes.
Well, yeah, they can get it out, but it's going to cost them money.
So is life, temporary.
Mr. Ackerman,
Perhaps a compromise language, if we're gonna go with will be impounded, you tack on another amendment, which is, and shall provide for the transportation of, those affected by the impound of the car.
And you wanna-
That confuses the
My
issue.
transportation, who's going to do that?
Okay, so you
No.
get caught,
You wanna punish somebody, you wanna help somebody?
well,
If
I
you
want
wanna
to help
help
the
'em-
people who want help, I want to punish the people who want.
all right, what language are we voting on here, people?
Will be impounded.
Will be impounded. So the okay, all right, very good. So the language
No.
before the council will be, the VNNC would like to officially go on record with a community impact statement stating that if a vehicle is used and owned by the John in the act of engaging in prostitution, that the car is considered part of the crime and will be impounded.
Correct. No.
Shall or will?
Shall be impounded.
It should be shall.
Shall.
Okay, Shall.
I like a good
How
shall.
about Arco? It's better gas.
All right. I make a motion that we adopt the language as is, that I just stated. We have a second from the Vice President. I call for the vote, Mr. Secretary.
Excuse me. President Thomas.
Yes.
Vice President Benjamin.
Yes.
Secretary Hendry. Aye. Treasurer Hop.
Aye.
Ms. Havard.
Yes.
Ms. Meyer.
Yes.
Mr. Lozrovitz.
Yes.
Mr. Martin.
Yes.
Ms. Skelton.
No.
Okay, just a second. Okay. Mr. Camara.
Yes.
Mr. Anand.
Yes.
Mr. De La Cuesta.
Yes.
Ms. Padden.
Oh, welcome home.
Mr. Lynn.
Damn.
Mr. Luna.
No.
Mr. Marabi.
Yes.
Ms. Raines.
She's still out.
Is Raines here?
Ms. Raines is not here.
Okay.
She left?
No, she's
Mr.
still
Robbins.
here. She's just talking.
Mr. Knoll.
Yes.
It passes.
Okay.
All right, moving down the list. 8Q, the VNNC to have training by the Office of the City Attorney. Any attorneys that are from the city in the room? No. Moving on, that'll be tabled. Skip what? We could vote on it, but we elected Paul Anand.
Yeah, it's a moot point now.
You want to vote on that?
On what?
If you want, we can. So 8P.
Kill it, just make the motion and nobody will second it.
Okay, so do we have any discussion and debate on 8P?
No.
Do we have a motion on the floor?
No.
On 8P? Yes, Mr. Ackerman.
So I would just encourage the council to not kill this committee, but to work on redefining
Excuse
more
me, thank you.
specifically what its jurisdiction is. Sustainability is a very important issue. It covers a lot of other issues that may not necessarily.
We're not
It's a moot
killing
point
it.
because
Done
we
up.
elected-
It's the chair.
It's
We're not
already-
killing it.
It's
We
taken
already
care
have
of.
it.
It would have happened.
This was just a matter of housekeeping to make sure that we were
It's
in
just a
order.
formality.
Yeah.
But Mr. Ackerman brings up a very good point. We started the Sustainability Committee on Earth Day. Thank you, Jason. Very good. All right, 8Q is tabled because we don't have the city attorney in the room. 8R, the VNNC to consider funding for the Mid-Valley Community Police Council to beautify the Van Nuys LAPD station at the Government Center. The funding to include redoing the Fallen Officer Memorial Garden. The funding also to include anti-vandalism initiatives and cleaning up and beautifying the station. Yes, Ms. Skelton.
When y'all bring this up, after when y'all said, of course, as the city attorney said about some questions that we couldn't ask, I waited to ask the question now. Unfortunately, on that, I know there's a loophole that y'all said that y'all didn't want to be in the wording because it's something, I guess it's something that done, if they would have seen it, they would have said no to it. So y'all figured out a way to go around it. My only thing, if we vote on it, and let's just say, example, 2 weeks from now, 2 years from now, and I know Ms. Hobbs has been, she got dinged for stuff when she wasn't even treasurer. So let's just say if we vote for something right now, and y'all know, example only, y'all know it's for flowers, example only, it's to buy some flowers. And if you would have had that in there, Don would have said no. If they find out that y'all purposely deleted or went around something, because when y'all said last time in the meeting that we had at the executive meeting, we cannot say that because if we vote exactly what they want, Don will say no to it, so y'all figured out another way to word it so Don can pass it. If, example, 2 weeks from now, 2 years from now, Don find out about it, how much trouble are we gonna get in knowing that we voted on something that Don would have said no to? So
It was the $5,000. It was $5,000 that they were asking for. That's what we, they requested $5,000.
Just reduce the amount.
That's
We
right, that's
reduced
all
the
we have to
amount.
do.
It has nothing to do with what it's going to be used
We
for.
can say what we want to give, they can ask for anything they want. But I made that a point so that people would know, because again, if you have 5,000 or more, it's got to go
There
through.
was never a statement of we should not add that in there because if Don find out about it, they're
Oh,
gonna.
no, all we have.
No, it was the,
all we have
the
to do is
funding
say-
number and the fact that myself, Joseph, Camby, and Penelope can't vote on this, which may be
Yeah,
what
they
you're
have to leave the
remembering.
room, but they have to recuse
But-
themselves. But bottom line, if we say we want to make a motion to give them 1,500 or 2,500, whatever it is we want to give them,
As long as it's
second
not
that, and then
5,000,
that's what we
don't
vote on, and I just changed the form here where it says 5,000 and make it, you know, and that's the one you're thinking of, you're mixing up too, because the police officers asked for 2,500, whereas the valley, the village family services were the ones that asked for the 5,000. So that's the one that needs to be changed, not the police officer one.
Is there anyone here from Mid Valley to
No.
give us any information or to talk further about exactly the specifics about what it is they
I've
want?
got the specifics. Like I said, they wanted to have, the reason they were asking for 2,500 is because there's a form that I have to get that will get them matching funds. And they get more funds and they can do more with it. They wanted to clean it up, they wanted to repair the fallen officer memorial, and they want to put up that stuff to deter graffiti. So they wanted to get as much as they could possibly get.
Howard, you're in charge on
As soon as they
this
could
one.
possibly get it,
Be right
because there
outside.
are multiple things they want to do with it, all to improve that old building.
All right. Is there any further discussion?
Just so I'm clear, we're at the 2,500 mark?
We're at $2,500.
I'm good with 2,500. Matter of fact, I'd be okay with taking out the anti-vandalism and changing the language just to the fallen officer memorial.
I'll tell you what the anti-vandalism thing is.
They came and addressed it.
They brought in this
The
plastic
ivy.
ivy.
Yeah, I was there for the ivy. Is 2,500 enough to go for both?
They're getting matching funds from CD6, from CD2. and
Okay,
fr-
that makes sense.
All right. So it's a combination of funds. They actually need close to $50,000
Correct.
to refurbish the
Are
state.
we getting a plaque out of this somewhere there?
As a matter of fact, I was told that that's a strong possibility.
Yeah.
Near the Memorial Fund, because we did do that.
Yeah.
And we are the Van Nuys Neighborhood Council, and they are right there.
Right.
There are officers.
But it shouldn't be contingent on us getting a pat on the back.
No, it's not, but they did say they wanted to thank us in that
All right.
respect.
All right. So, anybody want to call for the question?
I call for the question.
No, nobody can call for the question except you, Howard.
Okay. The VNNC to have a discussion, training officers for the Los Angeles, oh, I'm sorry, wrong. We're on R. The VNNC to consider funding for Mid-Valley Community Police Council to beautify the Van Nuys LAPD station at the Government Center. The funding to include redoing the fallen officer memorial garden,